Hello, Alexandra here. This is for folks interested in spiral dynamics or integral. And today's topic is a cataclysmic shift in meaning. This is what Claire Graves calls green moving to yellow in spiral dynamics. A monumental shift in meaning or a cataclysmic shift in meaning. And of course, yellow in spiral dynamics is teal in integral, and Ken Wilber calls the shift from green to teal, quote, just astonishing, an extraordinary shift. This is why, starting with stage yellow, it's called second tier. What happens during the first six stages, including green, is these stages often think of themselves as, quote, the worldview. And unless green has studied the stages, it may believe its worldview is, quote, the worldview. And what Ken Wilber says of the first six stages, including green, is, quote, what I'm doing is right, what you're doing is wrong, childish, mistaken, or just plain stupid, unquote. And of course, he's being a little cheeky when he says just plain stupid. He's speaking the truth, but I think maybe he had a little fun with that phrase. So what that is developmental research, according to Ken Wilber, shows that if people learn the stages, if they can name the stages and know something about the stages, they can be open that something bigger is coming, especially green, because green is a bit of a later stage, has systemic thinking, a bit of a more complex thinking, and so research shows that if you know the stages, you'll move through the stages at a faster rate. And so when we talk about the commonalities of green, turquoise, of green, teal, and turquoise, when we know the stages, we can use them as a developmental tool to help us move through the stages or just become more comfortable and settle into a new stage. Of course, we could do our parts work and also participate in spiritual discussions and read and discuss esoteric topics and be in integral groups. But it is more toward the end of turquoise, getting past the end of turquoise and the end of turquoise is when we really experience waking up, according to Ken Wilber. However, awakening can start in stage green. In stage green, we do have these awakening experiences, numinous experiences, but we tend to fall out of those. And stage teal, it's a little bit more stabilized, it's a little bit more of a consistent stage, so we could feel a little bit more of the all coming through us, or just a little bit more of awareness or consciousness coming through in the background. And that's why it's an easier stage than teal, is because, apologies, that's why teal is a little bit of an easier stage than green, is because we've been doing all the work in green and starting to integrate our parts, and we've done that, and so that's moved us through to teal, where we've just done so much work. We're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at peace, and then when we get to turquoise, early turquoise, we can really palpably feel something larger coming through us. And we may not even notice it so much at green, because green is a very sensitive stage, and green can have, if they're a sensitive Myers-Briggs type, some ups and downs, or if they have some codependence, ups and downs. And so the awareness might be happening sometimes and will be in the background, and it just sort of comes through stronger and stronger as we get to turquoise. And I watched a video that was posted a year ago, an interview with Ken Wilber, so I think I have these percentages pretty much updated now. He said that 50% will reach the rational stage, so that's rational stage would be orange or early orange, and we can combine those into the rational stage. and that is in the Western world. And about 25% will reach green, and right now 5 to 8% are at yellow or teal, and soon 10%, and 0.5 are at turquoise. So if we calculate, let's just calculate rational or above 85%. So that means stage blue, probably a majority of stage blue, some stage red, will be around 15%. So those are some updated percentages. And what we have is that stage green starts to see things in systems, and so that's why they're able to see systemic racism, systemic sexism, and teal, of course, starts to see in metasystems. Systems built upon systems, so systems within systems. It's quite a powerful stage and a capable stage. A lot of depth. And turquoise is a cross-paradigmatic stage. So they bring all the paradigms together, and what they can do is pick parts of this system, parts of another system, parts of another system, where the systems are all in completely unrelated areas, and come up with something totally new and effective. So turquoise can really blow it away when it comes to creating new solutions that could maybe even help the planet. And I am now getting into some of Terry O'Fallon's wonderful work. She has, let's see, it's August 2025, online, a $45 course called The 3 Questions that can allow you to assess your center of gravity. Her stages are pretty much the same as spiral dynamics or integral, but she gives them a number. So green is 4.0, teal is 4.5, turquoise is 3 numbers, entering 5.0, stabilizing 5.5, exiting and on 6.0. But this, I found, I did take the $45 course, and because I haven't taken the MAP, the sentence completion test by Suzanne Cook-Greuter since 2022, and I've experienced some changes since then. So I wanted to reassess where I'm at, and I did indeed find the online on-demand course of Terry O'Fallon, The 3 Questions, to be helpful. And indeed, I am in a different place than I was a few years ago. And if you are familiar with the stages, that's the caveat. I would, if you're going to take the $45 assessment, well worth it for me. The caveat is I was very, 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 very familiar with spiral dynamics, having read the book, Integral, having read some of Ken Wilber's books and watched Nomali Pereira's videos and Ken's videos and Suzanne Cook-Greuter's 9 Levels of Increasing Embrace PDF. I had been extremely familiar, in depth, with the stages before I took Terry O'Fallon's assessment, and I'm going to use that as a caveat because Terry O'Fallon has a little bit of a different take and a different viewpoint on assessing, and I don't know if I would have been able to understand it had I not previously been familiar with the stages. So for me, I'm glad I was familiar with the stages before I took that assessment. And she also has another course that's, I think, fairly affordable. It's a mid-price, not extremely priced course, online, on demand, called The Gifts and Confusions of Each Stage. And I'm taking this because at 5.0, early turquoise, maybe even going into mid turquoise, there just aren't very many people at this, so I just can't call up my friend and be like, hey, so when you went through early turquoise and you were transitioning to mid turquoise, what happened? I do have a coach, and so and there is an integral group that explores turquoise, but it's just not quite enough for me, and I wanted more information on 5.0 and 5.5. And so Terrio Fallon does discuss what we call turquoise in her work. And so I hope you found this information useful. Whatever stage you're at, I'm assuming you're at probably green or higher if you're listening to this. And I hope you found this useful on clarifying some of the similarities and some of the differences and what resources are available to you. Sending you love and blessings, and see you in the next video.